Hey guys, so before this video gets started, I do want to just say, I, uh, I was in the middle of editing this and, found out the news that, George Peterson has passed away. It, it's honestly really shocking because it's just crazy. Like, I recorded the video, and as you'll see in the video, because I'm going to leave the part where I place him in the top 5 in, but I talk about how nice he was, and he was truly such a nice, kind man when I met him. And yeah, if anyone got to meet any pro in person, he would have been the best person for anyone to meet in person, because he was so nice to everyone. So asked me my name, like, just was so kind, so grateful to have fans, and it was just a really special moment to meet him, because he's a bodybuilder that I really looked up to and really liked. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna leave that section in here. I just want to say my thoughts and prayers go out to George and his family, and yeah, it's just really weird. Like, I just recorded this video and then I was like, let me go take a nap. Took a nap, watched some people's 212 predictions that just posted theirs, like Nick Strength and Power and some other people, and then I was thinking to myself, like, man, isn't it funny? George Peterson has been third place 4 times in a row, and I'm saying he's gonna get third to fifth time in different divisions too. And his full name is George Peterson the Third. He's George Peterson the Third. So I just found that a little funny and ironic, and yeah. Then I ended up taking a nap and waking up, opening Instagram, and the first thing I see is that he passed away. So it's a little scary and unreal. He was 37 years old, and he was 2 days out from the Olympia. Just no cause of death right now. I might talk about that once they post anything, but it literally just happened. So I guess all I'll say is, the list is the list that I made. I mean, the only thing is that now that George isn't there, everyone who's behind George is going to move up a spot. So I do think that that number 6 will probably be Ahmad Ashkenani. But yeah, that's gonna end this part. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Yeah, enjoy the video. Alright, what's going on, everyone? So we are going to do the top 6 for classic physique and for 212 in this video. Figured could put both of them together since I'm only doing 6 on each. Don't really want to go through all 10, especially because classic, because as you see right here as I pull it up, classic we have 30 competitors. Not really going through all 30. 35 in men's physique. I don't know men's physique enough, but 35 competitors is insane. But yeah, and then we have only 20 in 212. That's pretty manageable, but we're only going to stick with 6 for each, which, for those who don't know, the reason I'm doing top 6 is because usually your first call out at these shows, especially the Olympia, they will have 6 guys as that call out, and then maybe 5 and 6, depending if they're close, they might go in a second call out to see how everyone compares to those guys. But the 6 in the call out are always going to be your first call out usually. Sometimes if it's like 5, 4, 5, and 6 are nowhere near as close as 1, 2, and 3, they'll do separate callouts like that, but usually your top 6 is your first call out. So let's start with classic physique first. I know a lot of people have been interested in that. Personally, 212 is more of my favorite, but we'll stick with classic. So number 6 is going to kill me to say this, because before I get into anything, I'm going to say right now, one of my favorite classic bodybuilders is Brian Jones, and he is not in my top 6. After seeing him at the Arnold, he is not conditioned enough, and I think he's either going to be 7 or 8 this year, which kills me to say that. But I do think that someone who is now on my radar, because he has an amazing physique, is going to be your number 6 spot, and that is Mr. Courage Opara. So Courage is kind of an unknown in my eyes. I know some classic guys who are more into the division than I am know him much more well than I do, but I'm not too familiar with him besides at his Olympia appearance. I mean, at his Arnold appearance, but I've heard and seen in his record he is a very good classic competitor, and I don't know why he doesn't have a picture of it, but this man has the nuttiest front double I've seen on a small man in forever. Let's see if we can find it. Look at that. That is just something else right here. Let's see if we can get that again. If you could see that, that looks perfect. Look how that vacuum, that waist, that X-frame, excellent shape and size. I think he's going to do very well. I do think he will probably nail that 6th spot, and I think he, with a couple more years, because he looks like a younger guy. I actually don't know how old he is. I think in a couple more years he can work up and get into that top 5 spot. So number 5 is going to be a pretty weird one. He was a 212 guy, went to Classic, dominated Classic for a little bit, neck and neck with Chris Bumstead, and last year he dropped a 3rd, and now I think he's dropping it for 5th. That is Mr. Breon Ainsley. So Breon is much more of a 80s bodybuilder physique instead of a 70s and 60s in my eyes, which is still considered classic, but it's just a different type of classic, and I do think his physique is very, very good, but I don't think it is going to be standing up to the rest of these guys. Last year he worked super hard on his conditioning, and he kind of blew it in the peak week, and this year I hear he's working hard on his conditioning again, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. He is much older than everyone else. Most of these classic guys are in their mid to late 20s, maybe early 30s. Breon is in his 40s, so he is at a disadvantage with the age, but I do think he's going to drop to 5th, and I think even in the coming years, Breon's going to be slowly sliding out of like top 5, maybe going into top 8, top 10. I think we're slowly going to see Breon fading away, which is sad to see because he is such a great physique, and he is a pretty good bodybuilder. But as we continue, number 4 is going to be Mr. Alex Combinero. So Alex was your Arnold Classic champion in 2020. I believe he got 4th at the Olympia last year, so I'm predicting a repeat in 4th place. He was 2nd at the Arnold to Terrence this year. He was pretty close with Terrence last year at the Arnold. I think he beat Terrence on conditioning, and Terrence got that conditioning fixed out. So now we just have Alex in 4th place again. I think Alex is going to be a very solid 4th place pick for years to come. He might even slide a little bit higher or lower depending on how these guys come in. Because I previously predicted that Brian Jones would be top 2 or 3, but now that Brian's conditioning isn't coming in and you have people like Alex who are still nailing the conditioning with their good structure, I could see Alex keeping in that top 5 for a couple more years. So number 3 is going to be someone who is definitely an unknown to most people, and that is Mr. Robert Timms. Robert Timms was basically a terrible, I don't want to say terrible because if you're a pro you got to be some sort of good, but he wasn't a very well-known classic guy. Maybe 14th at the Olympia twice, and then not really doing much since 2018, and he came back and looks like a freak. His only downside to him is his leg size is not the best, but classic legs are good, but it's not as big of a priority as much of the shape and structure is, which he definitely has, and he is a taller guy who to stand up to Chris Bumstead, so I think that is going to solidify him for that 3rd place spot at this year's Olympia. So after Robert Timms, we are going to go into the top 2, and in 2nd place I have, you guessed it, Terrence Ruffin, your Arnold Classic champ, runner-up last year at the Arnold, runner-up last year at the Olympia. I think he's going to be your runner-up at the Olympia again this year, and Terrence could be a multiple-time Mr. Olympia for Classic if Mr. Chris Bumstead did not exist. You just can't beat Chris. Chris is unbeatable. As long as he keeps coming in conditioned every time, he's not going to be beat. The only way Chris will ever be beat if he doesn't get this conditioning or if he just drops out due to health conditions. That's the only way Chris will ever be beat. I think Chris could honestly hold the Classic Olympia with his health intact. I think he can hold this Olympia title for probably 10 to 15 years. I think Chris could win more Olympia titles than anyone has in any other class because he is so young, and I think he'll probably retire at like around 40 with his 15th win. So now that we have done Classic, I know it was a little bit faster with Classic, but with these guys, there's not much to say. You already know Chris is going to win. Terrence is most likely going to be second. Then it's third through sixth, and after the Arnold, it's really clear who that third through sixth is most likely going to be. So now let's go to the 212 competitors that we have. So let's pull the list back up, and in our list we have the 20 guys. Some notable mentions: John Jewett's a good competitor. Nasser, good competitor. Kareth, Ahmad's always been a good guy. Noel. These are just some, guys that I'm saying are good competitors. Nathan, Ahmed, all great guys, but I do not have them in the top 6. Some of these guys will be fighting for that top 10 position, that 7 through 10 position. So, to start out our top 6, I have someone who kind of messes around in the top 10 position a lot, and he's a really good competitor. I don't remember where he placed last year at the Olympia, but I do think he's going to get 6th this year, and that is Angel Calderon. And that is because Angel has a pretty good physique. His only downside is his waist, I believe. I feel like his waist is a little bit wide, but he does have that sweeping quads and the wide shoulders, which does help him. But as you can see in this picture, take one guess why I have this man in 6th. 212 is known for their crazy shredded conditioning, and tell me that this is not the most insane conditioning. I think he will be fighting with Sean Clarita on being the most conditioned guy. And when conditioning fails, I think that structure will carry through. So I think that Angel will probably hold that 6th spot just because a lot of the guys ahead of him are going to have way better structures. But I think he's going to beat guys with pretty good structures by blowing them through the water in conditioning. No one's going to be as conditioned as him except for maybe Sean. So number 5 is going to be someone who could easily be the Chris Bumstead of the 212, winning multiple years based on his stupid structure if he came in conditioned. Which is kind of bringing up what I was saying before, how I feel Angel's going to win on conditioning, and or not win, he's going to get 6th in the conditioning. But I think that some of these guys have the stupidest structures. Like, Keon has the smallest waist you will ever see. This is him when he used to be Classic. Like, the smallest waist, biggest legs. But he has the one problem, his conditioning. He has not, since he's been 212, he has not been conditioned enough to even compare very well. But he just wins based on his arm size, his structure, and everything, and his shape. So, based on his prior appearances, I don't think he's going to be that conditioned, but I do think he's going to do very well because he has the stupidest structure in the world. He's basically a modern-day mini flex wheeler. So, I have Keon in 5th. 4th place is someone that I kept moving around a lot, but I think he's probably going to hold this spot. I think Kamal El Garni is going to fall down to 4th. He was 2nd last year, and he was 1st the year before. And he is a much older man. I believe he's in his 50s. And he is pretty good. He doesn't have the smallest waist, but he does have good muscle structure and everything. The round delts, the big lats, everything. I can find a picture of his front double. His front double is very good. His waist is held very well on that front double. It's hidden very well, and you can see it's not that protruding or sticking out. His arms are a little bit small compared to his waist, but his other shots are not the best. As you can see, something like this, a side chest. I know this is 13 weeks out, but still not holding in that side chest very well with the stomach. You can see when he won his Olympia versus when he got 2nd place, he did make dramatic improvements, especially to that waist and his back, but I still don't think he's going to do enough to beat the rest of the guys we have on this list. So, number 3 is going to be the guy who gets number 3. His lucky number should be number 3 at this point because he got it all through Classic, he got it all through 212 at this point, and that is George Peterson. He has been 3rd place in multiple shows. Look at that. 4-time bronze at the Olympia. So he was 3rd place at the Olympia, I think 3 times in Classic and then 1 time in 212 because he competed last year's first time in 212. I met him in person a couple months ago. He is one of the nicest man, if not the nicest man you'll ever meet. If you ever want to meet someone as a bodybuilder, George is probably the best bodybuilder you can ever meet in person for your first time. He's such a nice guy. And, he was an Arnold champ in Classic Physique. I forgot that. He was Arnold Classic champ in, I believe, 2019. His last year competing in Classic. And he looks phenomenal. This is him at the Olympia last year. He got third place, like I said before. I think the only thing that's going to be holding him back from getting first or second is his waist. Like, his structure for his waist is not the best, but he definitely does have more of a 212 bodybuilder physique than he does a classic physique, and I think he's really going to bring it this year and get that third place. I wanted to put him in second, but I have a feeling, slight feeling, not how sure it is, that Derek Lunsford will actually show up in some sort of conditioning this year. Those who don't know, Derek was basically the young prodigy to win the 212 Olympia after Flex Lewis. On Flex's last Olympia, he was second place to Flex. So with that meaning, when Flex isn't there, you would think he wins. Well, he did not. In, I believe it was 2019, Kamal beat him. He got second to Kamal. And last year, he slipped down to fourth. He has some sort of problem with, he gets pretty shredded and then he just peaks wrong, or he does something wrong and it just all goes down. So now he is with a new coach, Hani Rambat, who was Phil Heath's coach for many years. And I mean, looking at this structure should not lose. This is easily the greatest structure in the entire competitive scene. I think it's better than Keon's. I think if him and Keon, two guys with amazing structure, actually came in condition, they would be battling for 1 and 2 like Ronnie and Jay every time. You would always be like, who's gonna get it? It's just battle between titans, but they do not come in conditioned enough, and I'm hoping that Hani can help him get this conditioning, and I think he can probably get that second place. If I was more certain that he would get his conditioning in, I would have him in first, but when you are going against literally someone with no skin, that is Sean Clarita, who I put in first place, you are not gonna win. Sean is a very small guy. I met him in person actually very recently. He is very, very short. I think about 5'1", and he, I think last year weighed 170 pounds or something on stage. I mean, comparing him to Kamal and everyone else, if you even see them in the lineup, they're all way taller than him, but he just packs so much size on that small frame. And the conditioning, I'm telling you, 212 is a conditioning contest, and he brings it, and I think he's bringing it again, and I think he's going to be your 212 champ again. Not sure about next year, because I think Derek is going to lose his mind and actually get conditioned next year. Maybe Keon will too, but I do think that Sean will win this year. So there you go. There's my picks. As you can see, based on 212, Classic, and Open, I suspect that all of them are going to get their repeat wins again like they did last year, and I think it's going to be a really interesting show. I think the first places are all pretty much solidified for all divisions, but I think it's 2nd through 10th, honestly, where it can get nutty with how those placings go. And yeah, so I'm going to wrap this up. Can't wait to see the Olympia. It's on Friday, so tomorrow is going to be the little conference they do. I know Nick was invited for that, so that's going to be interesting to watch. And then Friday morning, we see the 212 guys step on stage. So I will see you guys for my Olympia wrap-up on who won and if I was right. And I hope you guys enjoy. And remember, stay massive. And I hope you guys enjoy the Olympia. Peace out.
Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on.